Alright, here I'm going to look at a second example of factoring quadratics using the guess and check method. And in my first example, I had a value in standard form. Remember, my a was 1. Usually the guess and check method works really slick whenever you have an a of 1. But you'll notice in this second example I'm about to do, my a is no longer 1, it's 6 instead. This can make guess and check method a little bit trickier. So looking at this second example, I have 6x squared plus 5x minus 6. And when we use the guess and check method, essentially what we're doing is we're undoing FOIL. So we want to think about what times what will give me a 6x squared. Well, there's two different ways I can get 6x squared. I could have 6x times an x, or I could have a situation where I have 3x times 2x. Both of these situations will give me a 6x squared. Okay, so I kind of have to literally guess and then check which method will actually work the best. Now, as I was saying in kind of the first example, I want two numbers that multiply to this last number, but when I FOIL, I need to be able to get the middle term in the center. So for instance, if I think of factors of negative 6, well, that could be 6 and 1 or 3 and 2. And then I want to start thinking about, is there a way I can get positive 5 if I put those factors in these two slots? Well, if I plug in 2 here and a 3 there, and I try to FOIL this in my head to see if I can get to 5x. Well, notice if I take 6x times 2, I get 12x. And if I take 3 times x, I get 3x. And there's no way for that to get to 5x. Now, I could try and rearrange these, but it still won't work. And I could try 6 here and a 1 there, or a 6 here and a 1 there. And there's no combination that's going to work for this first example. So I have to use my second example. There's got to be a way to get it to factor with 3x times 2x. So in this case, I want to once again plug in values for my factors of negative 6 that when I FOIL this will give me the original back. Now I see a plus 5 in the middle, so when I look at these values, usually using the bigger numbers don't seem to work because they'll give me too large of a number when I want a 5 in the middle. So I'm going to try and use 2 and 3 to start out. Well, if I look at the coefficients in the numbers in my parentheses already, I have a 3x and a 2x, and I need to somehow figure out a way to get 5x in the middle. Well, I can see from having done this in the past that if I take a 3, a plus 3 on the end, notice that if I take 3x times that 3, I'll get 9x when I take those outer ones. And then notice if I take the 2 and I make it a negative 2, when I multiply the inner ones, I'll get a negative 4x, and that will equal the 5x. So this will be the factored form for my equation. And then just to note, once again, that you can always check your work by FOILing your answer, and you should get back to your original equation. So once again, this is just to check your work. If you take 3x minus 2 times 2x plus 3, and you FOIL this, so you take first times first, well, 3x times 2x is 6x squared. Then you take outer, so 3x times 3 is a plus 9x. Inner is negative 2 times 2x, which is a negative 4x. And then last is negative 2 times 3, which is a negative 6. Then we'll notice that these middle two terms can combine together, and I'll get 6x squared plus 5x minus 6. You'll notice that that is my original equation, so that means that this factored form 3x minus 2 times 2x plus 3 does work.